City Police now at 4 about a burglary at police headquarters. St. Louis police say their investigation is now transitioning from a criminal investigation to an internal one. Here's the criminal suspect. Police say last week Alex Johnston slipped into the parking garage of their headquarters on Olive, made off with numerous items, including a firearm that includes a multi-launcher, which is used to shoot less lethal projectiles. Police tell us they've recovered most of the items that Johnston stole, including the firearm and a police vest, but not that multi-launcher, those less lethal projectiles. However, police do say there's no way to purchase those projectiles that the launcher uses, so it's no risk to the public. As the investigation moves forward, the department says it's focusing on how to avoid a repeat.
We're looking at every aspect of the security of police headquarters. It's something that we do regularly. This certainly has brought a new light to maybe us reviewing certain aspects of the security of the building again. Those conversations are already underway.
Despite an arrest, St. Louis police hope someone in the community knows more about the crime. If you do, you're encouraged to call Crime Stoppers. All new at 4.